Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us today. On this day in 2005, 52 innocent people were murdered in a coordinated terrorist attack across London's transport infrastructure. Hundreds of others were injured, either physically or mentally or both. Sadly, this year, due to COVID-19, we were unable to share a physical space, but some of the families and survivors have come together to produce this short film instead. We've seen repeatedly over the last 15 years how people from diverse backgrounds can and do put aside their perceived differences to unite behind a common cause. And the common causes we do share easily outweigh our differences. On the day of the attacks, some people made sacrifices for complete strangers. And since then, many friendships have been forged. During the next 3/4 of an hour or so, we'll hear from some of those affected about what this day means to them. We'll also hear a few statements from some of the leaders whose offices have supported us over the years. The approach of the 7/7 anniversaries can be a difficult time for many people, so we're especially grateful to the families who found the strength to support us in producing this film, and to those who found the courage to speak. Let's hear from some of them now.
Ladies and gentlemen, as with so many other people across this country, I remember vividly the appalling shock and outrage I felt on the 7th of July 2005 when I learnt about the savage attacks in London. That such dreadfully barbaric atrocities should be perpetrated on the streets of our capital was an assault on us all and on everything we stand for as a nation. For the victims and for you, their loved ones, the horror of that day was total. 52 people were cruelly robbed of their lives, nearly 800 people were injured, families were torn apart, and the most unimaginable pain and grief were visited upon so many of you. 4 years later, on the 7th of July 2009, my wife and I were so proud to join you for the dedication of the London Bombings Memorial in Hyde Park and to play our part in honouring the memory of those you had lost. When meeting you that day, my wife and I were struck by your courage and dignity, by the remarkable compassion you showed for one another, and by the bond forged through the unspeakable anguish you shared. I know that these connections between you have been a source of considerable strength and comfort over the years, united as you are by the grief, sorrow, and intense despair that each of you has known. I can only begin to imagine, therefore, how agonizing it must be for you that you are unable to gather today. It seems so desperately cruel that the pandemic should have denied you this occasion to see and to hold each other, to be together as you mourn and remember. Nevertheless, as you gather virtually, I pray you may be able to take strength from knowing that in your homes or wherever you might be, you are once again joined together by everything that you share. For all of us, today is an occasion to remember those who were so tragically lost and to stand with those who were left behind. It is also an opportunity to reaffirm our shared determination that tolerance and compassion will triumph over division and hatred, and that hope will always prevail. In all of this, ladies and gentlemen, I could hardly be more proud to join you, and I send you my special thoughts and blessings.
No one wants to be part of the 7/7 community. If not for a twist of fate, the bereaved would be with their loved ones, and we'd all be voyeurs on someone else's journey. The 7/7 community has, however, become like a family to me over the past 15 years, without which my road to recovery would have been so much more difficult, if not impossible. My 7-7 family understands why it took so long for me to get back onto a train, into a lift, negotiating the loss of my career, rebuilding a new Janae. A family that would never say to me, "It's been 15 years, why aren't you over it?" Our shared commitment and solace is something upon which I draw strength on a biannual basis. Unfortunately, COVID-19 has deprived us this year of celebrating together and all those special haunts. My one hope is that our online community may be able to gather together and pay homage to those whose lives were irrevocably changed on the 7th of July, 2005.
No one who was in London on the 7th of July 2005 will ever forget what they experienced that day. And for those directly affected by what happened, the loved ones of the 52 victims, the hundreds who suffered physical injury, mental trauma, the emergency services and tube staff who rushed to help and witnessed truly horrific scenes, for them, the passage of time will have done little to numb the pain they feel. And while all such anniversaries are difficult, I know this one will be especially hard. At times like this, people want to be able to come together, to be together, to remember and to reflect together. But the ongoing pandemic means that can't happen as it normally would. So I really want to thank everyone who volunteered to organise this virtual memorial today. It's the kind of community spirit that makes the capital such a special place. And it reminds me, not of the great evil that visited London that summer morning, but what we witnessed in the hours, the days, the weeks that followed. Because when this city was attacked by those who sought to divide us, London responded with the simple truth that whoever you are, wherever you're from, whatever the colour of your skin or the name of the God you worship, if you choose to come to London and make your life here, then you are a Londoner. And when you really need it, when you think you can't go on, when you've been knocked down and can't get back on your feet, then this city and its people will extend a hand and hold a total stranger close as if they were family. That is the kind of city London is. Those are the kind of people Londoners are. We saw it on that horrendous day in 2005, and we saw it when others tried and failed to drive a wedge between us in the years that followed. Because this city is stronger than any hate-filled ideology. And as we remember those who were lost and pledge once again to support those who survived, our message to those who would do us harm is as clear and simple today as it was on the t-shirts that appeared overnight 15 years ago. We are not afraid.
Hello everyone, my name's Joanne Cole and I was on the Edgware Road train. Now, I don't have a lot of memory from that day, however I wanted to talk today about the friendships that have come out of that horrific day, and for me that has been fundamental in my recovery. People that I've never met before and probably didn't even meet on that day have become my closest friends. We meet up regular and keep in regular contact. And when we meet, it's not just about what happened on that day. It's strong friendships. We talk about everything and anything. We've been to weddings, we've been on spa weekends, we've been to each other's houses. It truly is amazing. We've supported each other in the early days through some terrible dark emotions and have continued to support each other through everyday things. For example, my relationship broke down because of 7/7. We were too young to cope. it was my friends from 7/7 that have helped me with that. 8 years later, that relationship was back on the horizon. But unfortunately, we experienced another awful event where my partner suffered a life-changing injury following an accident. It was my 7/7 friends who were there for me. It was those people who checked up on me, who asked if I was all right, who asked about his recovery, how he was, how we was all coping. It was those who kept in regular contact with me, my 7/7 friends. We celebrated birthdays, babies being born, retirement, and many more lovely times. It truly is amazing. We never forget what happened or the people that lost their lives on that day. We always come together at every anniversary and support each other. And I just feel that some amazing friendships have come out of that. And I'm truly honoured to have such amazing friends. Thank you, everyone.
This year, like so many other memorials, we've had to do things a little bit different. So, unfortunately, we can't be there with you, but we're here in virtual land, so to speak. So I'm going to read a poem for you, so you know that we're with you. The poem's called Light a Candle. Light a candle, see it glow. Watch it dance when you feel low. Think of me, think of lights. I'll always be here, day or night. The candle flickers out of sight, but in your heart I still burn bright. Think not of sadness, that I'm not near. Think of gladness, the joyous cheer. I have not left, I'm not gone, I'm here to stay. So when you light a candle and you see it glow, and you watch it dance in your heart, I would never leave you. And even when you feel so blue, I'm watching over you. For the 52 victims of the 7th of July 2005. Love to everyone.
The 7th of July 2005 is a day London will never forget. The indiscriminate targeting of Londoners on our public transport system was an act of unspeakable evil. 52 innocent people lost their lives. More than 700 were injured, and countless others were left bereaved and heartbroken. 15 years on from this senseless terrorist attack, we join together to recall and honour those who were killed. And we send our thoughts and love to all those whose lives were forever changed that day. Sadly, this year it isn't possible for us to come together in person and as a community to pay our respects in the usual way. But I know that we're all together in spirit and that our city stands as one in remembering the victims and showing solidarity with the survivors. Today, on the 15th anniversary of 7/7, we reaffirm our commitment to caring for the survivors who continue to bear the mental and physical scars of that dreadful day, to keeping the memories of the 52 alive in our minds and in our hearts, and to showing the world that those who seek to divide our communities and destroy our way of life will never, ever succeed.
The lives of all of us changed completely on 7/7/05. All three of us in this family who survived Miriam, who was the youngest. Together with Miriam's other friends, there was an immediate need for redress of the negativity of that horrid day. You must have a memorial, they said, but where does one even start? Over time, we established the Miriam Hyman Memorial Trust, and in 2008 we formed a partnership with a leading eye care hospital in India. Consultants there in all branches of eye care are dedicated to saving the sight of their patients, and for our part, we transfer funds to equip and improve services. One of the consultants has said, "Every time a child is treated, Miriam's memory is invoked and her spirit lives on through those children whose sight is restored in her name." As for our work here, it is focused in education, and Miriam's legacy, Miriam's vision, is an education resource for the first 3 years of secondary school. It is cost-free, has the events of 7/7 at its core, but broadens concerns about non-violence in the entire community. The aim is to contribute to a genuinely inclusive society, respecting fundamental rights, safer from all forms of violent extremism, no matter how it's expressed, in hate, knife, or gun crime, drug misuse, or terrorism. The resource is based on the theory that negative behavior is rooted in fear, low self-esteem, poor self-worth, and alienation, which can be replaced by knowledge and understanding. Future generations learn about dealing positively with adversity, which will be experienced by every individual, as we've seen in the recent pandemic. They get to know that diversity is a consequence of regional response to human needs for food, shelter, and spirituality, and they understand the importance of empathy. Findings from recent research show that Miriam's vision is a catalyst for stimulating constructive thinking, showing progress of learners from knowledge to understanding positive messages, coping with life skills, and engaging in a learning experience which all teachers thought should be introduced to every single school. When schools reopen and function normally, the plan is to recruit approximately 50 secondary schools nationally to bring Miriam's vision into the classroom and embed it in the curriculum. In this way, we will build a network of schools all working towards an inclusive, non-violent society.
The sea is wild and so am I. Have you ever tried to tell it otherwise? Try to fathom it and you get lost in me. Let me be, let me be.
Our stories go beyond your history. I grow in places you can see. My too much has always been my power. Let me be, oh let me be.
We are stronger.
You can't try to make me small.
We are louder.
You can't limit us with walls.
I won't be ashamed, I will be contained, I will break the chain. My too much is my power. My too much is my power. My too much is my power. I won't be ashamed, I won't be contained, I will break the chain.
Don't pretend we started out the same. Why is it me who feels the same? Our stories, one chorus, fighting to remember that I will be, we will be.
We are stronger.
You can't try to make me small.
'Cause we are louder.
You can't limit us with walls.
I won't be ashamed, I won't be contained, I will break the chain.
My too much is my power. My too much is my power. My too much is my power. My too much
It's my power.
is my power.
My too much is my power. My too much is my power.
It's my power.
My too much is my power. I won't be ashamed, I won't be contained, I will break the chain.
I was at Aldgate on the 7th of July 2005. After the attack, I didn't talk about what I was going through. The screams I kept hearing, the way I felt like something bad was going to happen again to me. My friends and family wanted me to talk about it, but I just wasn't ready to. To me, it was my problem, not theirs. It took me about 6 years to realize that I wanted to and needed to talk about it. And then it was because I started losing my voice. I suppose my body was telling me it needed me to talk, to stop holding it in. Ironically, it did so by not letting me talk. I think I was scared to tell someone I was weak and not okay, but I was also scared to tell someone that I was ashamed. Brené Brown makes a really interesting distinction between shame and guilt. She says guilt is I have made a mistake, and she says that shame is I am a mistake. The 7th of July 2005 was a cruel act that ended in coincidence, deciding that I lived and others didn't. It meant that in my mind there was also a possibility that I could have been a mistake. Why did I live and others didn't? You see, my parents got to see me go to secondary school, go to university, move countries. I, in turn, got to see my little sister become an inspirational, passionate teacher. I was there for my friends when they needed a shoulder to cry on. I even made new friends to have stories with. Other parents, brothers, sisters, friends lost what my family didn't. Families were broken. There's a gap in their lives that can never be refilled. Whilst I was crying over screams and nightmares, they would never see their loved ones again. Best friends would never see each other again. Over the past 15 years, we've come a long way. Mental health is an everyday word. Martin's Law, which makes events and buildings have to have an emergency plan for a terrorist attack in place, is getting traction. Some businesses even have a plan for it already. But I don't think we've come far enough. You see, sometimes when you're having a conversation with a random person, it could be in the pub, at an event, on a park bench. Sometimes you decide, I'm going to tell them my story. Sometimes you tell them I was caught up in 7/7. Multiple times over the past couple of years, I've had that random person respond with, I was at Borough, I was at London Bridge, I was at Westminster, I was at Manchester. It hurts to hear. It hurts to hear this response more and more, in fact, because it brings home just how many people have been caught up in terrorist attacks. It hurts even more to think that other children could grow up questioning why they survived and others didn't. So today, when we remember what could have been, I ask you to please not forget the loss of life, their stories that went with them, and the families that were left behind. Because whilst I and my family may bear the scars, their families have never been the same again. Thank you.
Today we remember the 52 people who lost their lives on the 7th of July 2005 in those terrible, terrible events 15 years ago. We remember the people they were, the good they did, the lives they should have been able to lead, so cruelly snatched away. We think also of those who were injured, lives turned upside down, and the families of all those affected are very much in my thoughts today. We think also of the way our great city of London reacted. Those we lost represented the best of our city. Diverse, strong, wonderful people. And as a city, London was not bowed. We came together, we supported each other, and we have continued to fight the scourge of terrorism ever since. Today, I think also of my officers and staff who ran towards those terrible scenes, who put themselves in danger, who tried to do their best to support those affected. But everybody affected is in my thoughts. And on behalf of the whole of the Metropolitan Police Service, we will not forget.
15 years on, and 7/7 seems like a lifetime ago. And at times it feels as if it happened only yesterday. Every terror attack that has happened since takes me back to that day. Life has changed, but the memories of 7/7 have been constant. I know that I'm one of the lucky ones. I made it out of the tunnel at King's Cross with no obvious injuries. Since then, I got married and had 2 children. These are life events that I know I'm so lucky to have experienced. These kind of life events were stolen from the 52 people who were killed. They were deprived of the chance to experience the highs and lows that we all have over the years. There are 52 families whose loved ones were taken from them forever. We remember those 52 people today. We also remember all those people who were injured and live with the scars inflicted on them that day, whether they be physical or mental. We remember all those that came running to help us, not knowing what potential dangers they might face in doing that. It's strange this year, knowing that due to the restrictions and guidelines, we're not able to meet on the anniversary as we normally do. It always feels like a family getting together to remember, because that's what it has become over the years. 7/7 family is a very special one that have come together from an experience that we would all rather not have been a part of, but it's one result that I would not change for the world. Today is a day when we remember those 52 people, their families, and all the survivors who have been affected. We mourn them, we think of their families and friends and the loss they have suffered, and we never forget them. When my granddad died 8 years ago, I received a card with a message that really stuck with me. Those we loved don't go away. They walk beside us every day. Unseen, unheard, but always near. Still loved, still missed, and very dear.
I'm Sam Everington, a GP in the East End of London. 15 years ago, I was one of the doctors at BMA House when the bus bomb went off. It was a day that I will never forget. I constantly think about what we did on that day and just hope that we did save some lives and we made people's last moments a little better. I'm also a father of 5 children. And for you who are parents or relations or grandparents, I can't imagine anything worse than what you have had to cope with all these years. I will be thinking of you all on the 7th of July, as I do every year, and wish you all the best.
I want to take the opportunity today to send all of my love to my fellow survivors and all of the families who sadly lost loved ones on this day 15 years ago. Although we're not together today, I think this film demonstrates that they will never be forgotten and their memory will be forever cherished, especially by our community. As we reflect today, although we're not together, I think we'll never truly be alone on this day, no matter what the circumstances, as our togetherness continues to grow year by year. And I just want to send you all my love.
The names of those who died at 4 stations in London on the 7th of July 2005. At King's Cross and Russell Square, James Adams, Sam Badham, Lee Christopher Harris, Philip Beer, Anna Brandt, Kieran Cassidy, Rachelle Chung Fo-Young, Liz Daplin, Arthur Frederick, Carolina Gluck, Gamze Gunoral, Ojara Ikiagwu, Emily Jenkins, Adrian Johnson, Helen Catherine Jones, Susan Levy, Shelley Mather, Michael Matsushita, James Mays, Benaz Mazaka, Mihaela Otto, Atiq Sharifi, Ihab Slimani, Christian Nijara Diawara Small, Monica Sukoka, Marla Trivedi. And at Tavistock Square, Anthony Fatai Williams, Jamie Gordon, Giles Vernon Hart, Marie Joanne Hartley, Miriam Hyman, Shahara Islam, Neetu Jain, Sam Lee, Shayanuja Nirashini Parathasangari, Anat Rosenberg, Philip Stewart Russell, William Wise, Gladys Wundoa. And at Aldgate, Lee Bastin, Benedetta Chacha, Richard Ellery, Richard Martin Gray, Anne Moffat, Fiona Stevenson, Carrie Taylor. And at Edgware Road, Michael Stanley Brewster, Jonathan Downey, David Fuchs, Colin Morley, Jennifer Vander Ann Nicholson, Laura Susan Webb.
can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gotta work it out. Move mountains, we're gonna work it out. Move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid.